On May 20th, 1898, the Edison Manufacturing Company released a black and white silent documentary called The Ball Game. The film contains footage of a baseball game between the Reading, Pennsylvania coal heavers and the Newark, New Jersey Bears. Photographed from one camera behind first base, the film lasts a whopping 45 seconds. Add to the film library Bull Durham, Moneyball, and the Bad News Bears. Hollywood has long had a special relationship with baseball and produced over 150 films on that theme. That's more than hockey, basketball, and football combined. Why is that? Because the game is inherently cinematic, showing both the strengths of an individual athlete and the power of working as a team. You need an interpersonal conflict? Give us the cat and mouse between pitcher and hitter. You need an ensemble moment? Show us an infield who collaborates on an amazing double play. What if you were a professional baseball player and you were rounding second, heading to third, and you asked yourself, what am I going to do when I'm not going to do this anymore? The answer's simple. You become a filmmaker. Who wouldn't? With every strikeout, fielding error, and home run, you develop personally and professionally in unexpected ways. You also recognize that each story of a professional athlete is unique and has proven its staying power in film and television for 100 years. Driven partly by passion and a bit by insanity, our guest today, Anthony Seratelli, started his film company while playing professional baseball, mixing his love of sports and storytelling to build a really cool creative brand called Jersey Filmmaker. While he is busy telling stories on the screen on a variety of topics, today's program is his story of transformation. Welcome to A Climb to the Top Stories of Transformation. I'm Chuck Garcia, and my guest today is Anthony Seratelli. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Chuck, pleasure. Thank you for having me. I love that the cinematic baseball, I think sports in general are very cinematic. I've actually never looked at it that way or said it, but hearing you say that really struck me. That whole time I kind of got caught on that. Didn't really hear the rest of it. I hope it was all good.
Well, it's really tying, the sensibility in your mind to the thing that you experienced to ultimately you have become, which you will likely spend the rest of your life doing. But the reason I point out baseball, Anthony, is when we watch a basketball court, a hockey arena, or even a football field, it's a square or it's just one shape. And when I think about, I've been to 17, 18 ballparks. I'm a baseball fan myself. They're all different. They're big. It's an expanse. And as boring as sometimes baseball is, you sit around. There's something about the visual element. So I appreciate that you see that. But here's the big question, Anthony. Many people who become professional baseball players, they get out of high school, they may be drafted to the minors, and they go to Florida or California to play in baseball. Your path to becoming a professional baseball player was slightly different. Tell us about how you entered as an 18-year-old, what you thought about, and what actually happened along the way.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, we can go back a little further than that. And going into high school, I actually got cut from the freshman team, and thankfully had a gym teacher. My phys ed teacher in middle school was the JV pitching coach. So he said, "Hey, I know you were cut as an infielder. Please come back and try to make the team as a pitcher." I talked to the pitching coach on the freshman team. I know you can play. So I went back. I made the team as a pitcher. That year, I pitched 2/3 of an inning, gave up the 3 run. I came in with bases loaded, gave up those 3 runs and 3 of my own.
Good start.
So 2/3 of an inning, 3 earned runs, and I had 3 at bats, 1 hit. So that was my freshman year, but at least I was on the team. That was the start of, it was always a fight for me, right? Then out of high school, I didn't get drafted. I didn't get recruited. I went to Seton Hall University, Big East. They just won the Big East championship the prior year, and I walk on, and I end up making the team. And
as a pitcher or as a fielder?
No. I was not a pitcher.
No, okay. You bombed that one.
my career did excel in high school after my freshman year. I just didn't get to play my freshman year, right. But I still didn't get recruited. And then I go into college. I make the team. I become a second year. I become a starter by like the 7th game. I'm a 3-year captain as a sophomore. Don't get drafted. Don't get picked up by anybody out of college. I went to all these open workouts. finally signed out of an open workout. So I graduate May 05. I signed out of an open workout in September 05 in Chicago for an independent team when I was trying out for a major league team. And so that was, I mean, think May to September, whatever, 5 months-ish, didn't play. That season doesn't start till the following May. So I didn't play from May 05 to May 06. I just trained and tried to get ready for a professional career. Played a season in indie ball, went to more open workouts, signed with the Royals out of an open workout. Again, open workout.
Like a walk-on.
2000, exactly. Walked on. Now 3 times, right? Signed with them and had actually pretty terrible spring training, but they kept me around for extended spring training at 24 years old. And I was with a bunch of 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Salvador Perez, MVP, World Series MVP, all-star now, was there with me. I was going to English class with them because I wanted to learn Spanish. So it was just fun to hang out with them and hear them try to learn English. I was learning Spanish. And this is what I was doing, extended spring training at 24 years old. If I had known better, most guys are like, oh, I'm not going to extended. I'd rather retire. I'm going to go home. Or I'm just going to ask for my release, go somewhere else. I mean, I enjoyed it. I had no idea, actually, I think I was 23 years old, but
did you get from your family through all that, proud of their son playing baseball, but you went to college and you majored in something, and like so many people, many are called and few are chosen that actually make the big leagues. So here you were in your mind. What were you feeling either from family or others' expectations about what they thought you would do?
I never had that pressure from my family. That's what I loved about it. I lost my dad almost 10 years ago now, but he was, and not just him, all of my family, but I always reference him in the sense, he always made me feel like it didn't matter what I did, right? I could come home and say, Dad, I want to play pickup jacks for a living, and he'd be like, all right, great, figure it out, go for it. So I never felt that pressure of like an expectation of what I needed to do or what I should do, or if they liked what I was doing. I really never felt that. Although trying to play baseball for a living, everyone thought that was pretty cool. So that wasn't a big deal. But you don't make any money till you get a little further along. So thankfully, I had the support. There really was no pressure. I was very supported, and I don't know how you could do it without that, to be honest with you, because it's such low pay and such a grind to try to get to the big leagues, unless you sign for big money and you kind of have something in the bank. So they were probably the biggest reason I was able to do what I was doing. It was very free and able to focus on it and give it a shot.
And you were living, as we read descriptions of minor leaguers, it's a very nomadic life. You're schlepping in buses. And so tell us about how many years you went through that. What were the challenges and opportunities? And then ultimately, let's pivot to how you arrived from being on the baseball field, looking at the cinematic possibilities, ultimately choosing your next path.
Yeah. The nomadic lifestyle is 100% true. When I look back so my first 9 years, I didn't live in one location for more than 6 months at the most. Even in the off seasons, I would play winter ball. I would stay with family. I would go train with family elsewhere because my mother lived in California. So even in the off seasons, I was all over the place. It was never steady. And even during the season, 5 to 6 months in one location, half the time we're on the road. So you're just like never in the same place, never sleep in the same bed. It just becomes normal. I don't feel like I don't come home even these days and be like, oh my gosh, my bed. I'm so used to sleeping wherever, whenever, in so many hotels and buses, all that stuff.
Were you ever discouraged, or were you just staying positive? I'm going to keep trying.
No, never discouraged. I loved it. I mean, I would still do it today. I still do it today. I go on the road. I'm in hotels. And when I get home, I'm home for a day. Then I'll go see my sister and stay there because I want to see my niece and nephew for a day. So like, I don't even stay there in a guest bed. So I still don't feel that like I need to be home, and I'm not married. I don't have kids.
Right.
So I don't, home to me is wherever I'm happy. And I do like being in my, my home from time to time and taking my time to myself. But, I never felt that pressure either. So I don't know, a little bit of a weird mindset, but I'm kind of a nomad, go wherever wherever I'm
Right.
happy.
But it seems like the nomadic lifestyle was very fitting for what was your transformation when you were no longer a baseball player, because in a way you're still living a nomadic life. But before we
Yeah.
get to that point, I definitely want our listeners to key into the fact that here you were in the United States, but you were also playing in a game that was a global. You certainly had the Dominican, the Venezuelan influence of
Yep.
winter ball, but there was also a very big thing happening in Asia. I've been to Japanese ball games and they are an experience.
Mhm.
You twisted and turned along the way and ended up in Japan. How did that happen and what was the experience like?
Sure. That was the last year of my career. So my 10th season, I got to play in Japan, which was an amazing experience. So just so you know as well, I'm a quarter Japanese. So my grandmother's 100% from Fukuoka. And I
I
thought it
know.
was a really cool opportunity to maybe even meet some of my family, which I didn't get to do for multiple reasons. You're just so busy there. The schedule's grueling.
Mhm.
They're pretty bulldogish and like we gotta work. It's a lot of quantity there. In America, it's a little bit more quality over quantity as you get to a higher level of baseball. We don't want to wear ourselves out with this many games, but in Japan, they're all about repetition. So it's
Indeed.
a little bit different mindset. But they understand us too. So they're like, take it easy, take it easy. We don't, which is great
Culture
because
clash,
I'm
but you
like,
know what? It's okay.
yeah,
Just
because
hit the ball.
I actually hated that about college. It was just like go, 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 go. And when I got to the professional level, I played better because it was like manage we play so many games, manage your time, manage your energy, manage your strength so that you can exceed or succeed on the field.
Right.
So I love that about the pro sided ball, but Japan was kind of like back to college ball. But anyways, how that went was I was with the Royals. I played a year of indie ball, Royals for 7 years, the Mets for a year, and then I signed in Japan. And I was kind of stuck in my 7 year contract with the Royals on my first minor league deal. And we could go into a whole bunch of detail with that, but it's a 7 year deal. Unless you get put on a 40-man roster, which means you're now on the big league roster. You might not be in the big leagues, but you're the guy that can easily go up and down.
Yep.
The big league roster, 25-man roster, or you get released, you're stuck on that contract for that very little pay. So what I did in staying out all 7 years, and not any of those things happening, is actually a lower percentage than people getting to the big leagues. So I like to twist it that way. Just stick around and not get called up play that long in an organization, or not get released, or not get put on the 40-man, and because somebody's trying to pull you off a Rule 5 draft. I mean, there's so many things that we could talk about there. It's just really hard to do that, and it's not done very often. I could only think of like maybe 2 other guys in my organization ever, and I know a lot more than 2 or 3 guys that got to the big league. So I had very low percentage success in a really weird way. So I like to phrase it that way. That's one cool thing, if you want to call it cool, that I did.
Well, I think
So
to our listeners, that's a mindset. It's
yeah,
not, it's the way, the story you told yourself about where you are, where you'd like to be. So much of life is in the transitions, but the transitions is based upon how you think about what's the next move you're going to make. What's the next pitch you're going to expect? So it's both a reflection of where you are in anticipation of where it's going to be. Does uh, to use the hitter metaphor, you're always up to the plate thinking about the next pitch. Is that a fair conclusion?
oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Yeah, I never have. I've talked about this with many people. Um, I don't I don't feel regret ever. I feel very in the moment when I make my decisions, and I'm confident with my decisions, and I don't look back on it like, oh my God, I wish I would have made that decision then. Like when I make the decision, I'm using the best information I have, and I'm very confident with those decisions. I never look back on, and it might be a bummer. I may have made the wrong decision. I'm not saying that, but I don't look back on it and like just crush myself for not making the right decision at the time. I did the best I could. I'm not just going out and like flipping a coin. So I don't know. I never felt, I think I have a very positive outlook in general. So I don't think that's the easiest thing to do. I feel very blessed in that way, that my mind works that way. And I don't know how to, I've talked to some people about it. I don't know how to teach it. I wish I could, because I feel very good about a lot of the things I do, whether I'm right or wrong. And that, I don't know, it's just a way of living in happiness, I guess.
I want to focus right now on one theme, and
Sure.
that's Japan. Did you
Yep.
feel one thing I know in particular, as communities, as teams, you look for your own autonomy, the A, you look for the sense of belonging, the B,
Mhm.
and then You think about in Japan, were you a stranger in a strange land? Because even to the
Oh yeah.
or even not to the baseball players, many of those that have careers that take them to foreign countries, they feel not right, not connected. You don't
Yeah.
speak the language. They don't speak great English. Tell us how it felt to be a professional baseball for all those years in the land by which you were most comfortable to
Mhm.
to now being in this very different kind of place with a different regimen.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you look at the statistics, I would say more than half of the foreigners that go to Japan fail fail in the sense of like, they are good players
Mhm.
and they just don't play well there.
Right.
And there's multiple reasons for that. It's so different. The culture, the language, you need a translator. It's really hard to communicate with your teammates. They play the game very differently.
I see that.
Um, so in all aspects, and that's a whole nother conversation as well, but that makes it difficult when you've played for now however many years, training to approach the game a certain way, approach even your at bats a certain way, and they just pitch backwards. It's like something you don't see. That's something that's not taught here. So it's a big adjustment to jump to the highest level, the major league level in Japan, and try to succeed. I'm not saying it's impossible, and I'm not giving myself an excuse because I didn't do well there. But I also was, coming to the end of my career with my injury. But it's difficult. It's just a difficult place to be. And even like communication wise off the field, you can't really talk to anybody. Your family is halfway around the world. So when you're up, they're asleep. When you're asleep, they're up. So it can be lonely in that sense. But I mean, again, I looked at I knew I was only there for a year, maybe two, if I did well. I mean, I guess that could have expanded if I did well. But as I started to not play well and my injuries got worse, kind of knew it was coming to an end. So I still sucked up everything I could of Japan itself and tried to experience everything I could. So I definitely didn't waste it, but it wasn't the greatest experience for me on the field, that's for sure, just because it was the end of my career.
Well, I also want to explore something else because this is applicable not just to baseball players, but anybody about adaptability after you've had many years of doing things your way.
Mm-hmm.
I know for us Americans, when we watch the Japanese who come here, there's a uniformity, there's a homogeneity. They tend to pitch the same. Their batting stance is the same. Everybody looks alike. And yet, when we watch the Dominican players come to the plate, their stances are completely different, or even the Americans. The Western culture, you tend to have you're stylistic. It's whatever that is, and it seems like the coaches work with that style. When we watch a Japanese baseball player, we see the same style. And here you were. Did you have to or feel pressure or were coached to adapt to the way they stand at the plate, to the way they field? Tell us about that.
Right. They're pretty lenient on that. I think they understand exactly what you're saying, but it's weird when you start to struggle and they start to coach you and they coach you in their way. It's like, it's hard to understand. I'm not saying, physically take it in and understand it, but they're trying to teach you a way that you haven't taught them 30 something years old, playing the sport professionally for 10 years. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, at that point of a profession, a mastery, to like switch it up to that level is pretty difficult. So yeah, that was not the easiest thing to struggle there and try to be coached out of it. It's hard enough to find in America a coach that you really vibe with and that understands your swing, and you come across those very rarely. So out there was even more difficult.
And even at a minimum, that speaks your language.
Oh yeah,
Communication is hard enough in our own languages.
Yeah, you're working through a translator. Right? It's really difficult.
Indeed. Well, let's switch here.
Yep.
You're in your head. You're rounding bases, whatever it is. You got time to think about your next thing.
Mm-hmm.
You were the mind of a filmmaker before you became a filmmaker. You must have been. So let's now round second and head to third. You are thinking about, I'm not going to be a baseball player anymore. I'm going to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Tell us about how you came to that and then what you've done about it and why. I want to know the why. Why were you insane enough to want to play professional baseball? And then why are you insane enough to want to be a filmmaker? There's a million out there.
I know the answer to that. So here we go.
Let's hear it.
The transition actually started four years or so. Well, the true transition started about the second year into baseball. I didn't realize it then, but when I was in my second year playing in Colombia in winter ball, so after my second full season, I was away my sister graduated from college. And when I got back in January, she graduated in December. She was on the 4.5-year plan. I got back in January. So she waited about a month to have her graduation party she waited for me to get home. And it was 4 days after I got home, after 3 months away in another country for the first time. 4 days in, she's having their party. And not that that's a big deal, like 4 days, I don't have time to acclimate. But the reason I say that is because for some reason I decided I majored in management information systems and systems analysis and design. So like computer stuff, right? So I understand computers. And when I got home, she kept telling me that there was a dance. I don't know if you remember the Soulja Boy Crank That song back in the day. Yeah, exactly. She kept saying that's going to be the dance at my party, and I'm going to make grandma and grandpa do it and all. And it's funny because it's a young person's dance, and it actually, if you look into, we're not going to talk about what it means, but it's not the cleanest meaning. And she's like, I'm going to have everyone do it. She thought that'd be funny. So I'm like, you know what would be funny in my head? I don't even know how this popped in my head. Would be funny to let me go film everybody and cut them into the music video, and I'll show it. And like, she won't know that's coming, and it's going to be hilarious. And so I take a little point and shoot, and I go around and I film people for 4 days, and I jump on an editor and I figure that out, and I put this little intro together. So it ends up being about a 7-minute video. First video I made at all that length, anything like that. I don't even know, again, I can only think of one prior to that I did. So like, I don't even know how this was like an idea, but it happened, and I did it. And at the party, there's about 100 people there. And I recall very clearly when I put it on, I'm standing there and I'm watching the crowd. I'm watching my sister. I'm watching everyone react to the film, quote unquote, that I made, right? People are laughing. My sister starts crying. She comes over and hugs me. And like, I just had no idea you can pull that type of emotion out of people. I was just messing around. I just wanted to make a funny video, and people were like cracking up and like telling me how great it was. And I don't know, it just captivated me to like be able to do that to people through motion picture, essentially.
Well, let me interject. You know, Jim Valvano talked about a good speech does 3 things: makes you laugh, makes you cry, makes you think. It sounds like the filmmaker in you was born. Did that click?
100%. That was the moment where I was like, I want to see where this can go. And I did. So that's 2 years in. So now I start messing around while I'm playing, and I'm just filming more things on a point and shoot. And like, we couldn't really film as much on the phones back then, but I start messing around filming. I'm playing with editing, and time just keeps going. So now we're talking, I got 8 more years of baseball while this is happening. So about 4 more years go by, and then I officially start my company. So I'm like, let me see if I can do like some editing or shooting over the winter. And I got a job with MLB Productions from a buddy I met through playing ball. And I cut a Babe Ruth documentary trailer. That was my first real gig. It was the only one I did that winter. And then,
you are a baseball player and you are a filmmaker. You're not one or the other. You're now
at that point. Yeah. At that point I was both. So when you're saying, when's the transition, it happened while I was playing for sure. Right. And I knew 100% I'd be getting into that when I was done. It was super simple at that point. So now I'm 4 years in, I know what I like to do. I know baseball's not going to last forever. So now it's like even more enjoyable and easygoing to play ball because I know what I'm going to do afterwards. So it's all good. Like whatever, as long as this lasts, it lasts, and hopefully it lasts a long time. But if not, I found something else I'm very passionate about. So that should be an easy transition. And it certainly was. So now 4 years later, I mean, in that time, I like to say I went to YouTube University, and I learned, at first I'm just shooting and editing on a point and shoot and the computer. Then I go to getting a better camera and learning about lenses, and then learning about audio and special, motion graphics and special effects. And I'm thinking about these effects I want to do, and I create a story around it. Now I'm storytelling, and it just became like this, step by step, I start learning while playing. So once I was done, it was pretty, I wouldn't say simple because I didn't get work right away. It took a good year. I mean, I was in the hole for a year, but thankfully I did well at the end of my career to be able to put time and money into starting a company. So that 10-year career gave me that leeway and that opportunity to really chase the next dream. So, I mean, I don't think too many people can chase two dreams in one lifetime. And I'm already doing that. So I don't know what it would be like not to. So I don't know if that's, again, a mindset, or I've just gotten lucky that I found 2 things. Cause I know people who still are searching, and I wish I want to help them. I don't know how to find a passion. It's just, they just landed on me. So I wish I could teach that if I could teach anything.
Well, there's an
Because
interesting
it's,
integration here because what I said at the outset, what I love about watching baseball movies is the cinematic nature of a field with 350 feet in the left field, whatever
yeah.
that is. Did you, as this was occurring, you were drawing on your past? Were you looking at this filmmaking? Here I'm doing my sister's, something that is a festival, so to speak, a party, something cinematic. And then you have baseball. Were you going to be a sports filmmaker or, oh my God, this goes beyond sport?
Yeah, no, I never thought it was just going to be sports ever. Like that actually, and even you saying that now, that never clicked then. That never set in my mind like that then, and it doesn't sit in my mind like that now.
Hmm.
I happen to find a lot of sports because I was in the sports world. So especially when we have to work with the high level athletes, they love when they find out that I played. So it's just very comfortable.
Right.
Then we throw a camera in their face and they understand that I understand. So
Right. Well, you've been on both sides. You've been on the side
exactly.
of the camera when you struck out or you hit a single that was the winning run, or now you're on the backside. This is your street cred.
Yep.
You not only know what it's like, you feel what it's like. You have
Yeah.
both the horrors and the challenges of the strikeouts and the RBIs when you may do the opposite of what's expected, and you got to go back to the dugout. Like, sorry, coach.
Yeah.
You have that. So now you are in Jersey Filmmaker. Let's finish up with two things.
Okay.
Tell us about your organization and the work that you do. Then I want to leave some calls to action for our audience because I think a lot of your story, it's metaphorically applicable to so many other professions. So Jersey Filmmaker, what is it?
Yep. Jersey Filmmaker is a content studio, I like to call it. We produce lots of different content from anything from very simple web, social-based content, to full feature-length films and documentaries, docuseries that have been on platforms like Fox Sports and YouTube Originals, ESPN, Showtime. So we do some longer format stuff, but we also do a lot of short form stuff. We do branded content. We work with a lot of brands to produce their content for lead generation. We don't have much of a niche, which I just spoke about on a recent podcast. It may be a problem, but it's just, I'm not one to niche myself. Even in baseball, I was a super utility, quote unquote. I didn't pitch or catch. I never pitched or caught on the field, but I've done that in bullpens and getting guys ready. But I played every position. I switch hit. I could run a bit. I could hit a home run. So I could kind of do it all in a sense. Maybe I did all of them too average and not one of them really good enough. That's why I didn't get to the big leagues. But I'm the same in my business career. I'm not good at niching myself. If an opportunity comes up and I like it, I want to do it. I don't care if it's something we haven't done before, so.
And so your content creation, Anthony, is not just sports, it is business.
No, not at all.
Right. So what are some of the categories that you have filmed, and
sure,
what do you continue to learn about yourself with each different project?
Sure. The categories range from sports stories, and most of the stories are not on the field. Usually if we're telling stories, it's about the personal side of things. But we've done musicians and social influencers, and we do, clothing lines. We tell stories through them and kind of just commercial entertainment value, branded awareness stuff. So it's not necessarily even talking about the clothing. It's just funny, entertaining content that maybe they're wearing the clothing. And we do even just the most basic stuff of presenting products through 3D renders or motion graphics to just put on social that people will hopefully click through and shop now. So it's a wide variety. And
what are you learning about yourself with each different projects? Anthony is evolving. How is Anthony evolving?
The hardest part for me, or not hardest part, but the thing that I learn and I've learned and I'm still completely understanding and trying to figure out how to walk the line is the line of businessman or entrepreneur and creative. I get caught between so many times because obviously I started this because I love the creative side of the business and I'll never not love that and do that. But I also have learned to love and I'm wondering if even maybe more the business growth and scaling and entrepreneurship of it. I love that. I really enjoy that as well. I love putting the people in place that enjoy doing the creative and letting them run with it and create cool stuff. And we get to present it to the brands and companies or people that we're telling their stories. And then we get handed a check and I get to pay them. I love that. I love the whole thing, and I love growing it. And I love the idea of it's really cool. And I never thought this would be the case either. The more money we get, the more money I want to spend on the company. It's not the more money we get, I want to take,
That's capitalism.
So it's good. That's a good thought. I'm happy that I think that way, because, who doesn't want to make a lot of money? Even in baseball, I want to make a lot of money. I still want to make a lot of money, but
Sure.
I want that to be, I don't know. I want to make a lot of money with other people too. It's not as fun doing it by yourself.
The money is opportunity to fund other people's dreams, because
and their livelihoods. I mean, how good does that feel?
Right.
So
you were chasing your dream at, from an early age as a freshman in high school. You had a dream, and people helped you along the way. And while you are a screenwriter, storyteller, producer, and director, you're also a guy who can create opportunity for others. And then you enjoy the collaboration because it adds value to Jersey Filmmaker.
Yeah. I sometimes think of trying to retitle that, and an opportunity giver wouldn't be a great one, but like, I would love something like that instead of like, CEO or, even writer, producer, director, whatever it is. I love that side of it. So, but I obviously, like, I am a creator at heart. So, and I like to use the word creator, because not only a creator on the content side of things, but I created the business and I'm creating opportunities. So, I like creator because it's pretty widespread, and it doesn't really, again, here we go, not niching myself, right? It's a broader term, but that is me. That's how I've always been. So I'm pretty comfortable with that term.
All right. Now, to our audience, we always want them to have some takeaways and any advice that comes from you. So we ask the question, what do we want our listeners who are at different points in their lives, who have expectations and pressures and everything else that comes with careers? What do you want them to think about their futures? What do you want them to feel about these things that you felt that led you to your transitions? And what do you want them to do about it?
I hate to say to people, just chase your dreams, because it sounds so cliche and simplistic. And it's not always possible for everyone. Not everyone's in the situation I spoke about that I was in with my family, and it was very easy for me. And I'm very lucky that I had a support system. So that's not always the easiest thing, but I just love for people to not chase, but to find happiness in what they're doing. And there's a lot. Look, there's, as great as my story might have sounded this whole time, there's plenty of times where I'm not the happiest doing what I'm doing. I'm on the road grinding, like wondering if I should be home. What should I be? Should I stop playing and be with my family? Should I start my own family? Should I stop and start my own business? Even while I'm doing the business stuff now, it's like, should I get a 9-to-5? This is a grind. I have to worry about everyone. What if we don't make enough money? What if the world shuts down with COVID? How am I going to pay all these people? And then they don't have jobs. Like, there's plenty of worry. So it's not all simple as simple as it sounds. Right. But to find that joy in those things, and bring those out above all the worries and fears, just figure that out. I don't know how to do it. Somehow my mind does it. Figure out how to bring the joys to the top, and hopefully they overshadow all of the fears and worries, because life's way too short to be sad and angry or fearful. Not that those things aren't okay, but try to overshadow them. Mentally get yourself in a place to overshadow the fears and worries, and you'll be happy.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And Anthony, where do we find you? How does a listener who may want to connect with you?
Any Jersey Filmmaker everywhere. I locked up all of those handles and things. So jerseyfilmmaker.com, you can see all of our work and capabilities, and you can reach out at Instagram. We're the biggest on, so at Jersey Filmmaker. And then you can contact our email too through our website. So Jersey Filmmaker everywhere.
1898 was a movie called The Ball Game. 1988 was a movie called Bull Durham. And here we are in 2021, heading into what is a whole new world. And Anthony, it is so good to have you in this world, doing what you do. I've watched much of your work and I've enjoyed it immensely. And I want to thank you very much for coming on to A Climb to the Top.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, Chuck.
And to our listeners, thank you always for tuning in. You can find me on chuckgarcia.com. Please reach out. Let us know how you were doing. You can also see us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, we are signing off. Anthony, thank you again for your contribution to the show.
Thank you.